your host and creator of Q for Christ, and I want to say thank you for tuning in tonight. I guarantee this is going to be such a good one. As you know, I have been speaking with individuals that are being successful on purpose, and I am just trying to get people's message out there. And I'm so glad that God has given me this passion to find people that are being successful on purpose by consistently working. And when I say success, I don't mean houses, cars, clothes, or money. I am talking about somebody that is backed up by God. I am speaking with Mr. Jeremy Coleman. He is backed by God, I promise you. So make sure you are getting ready for this message. I guarantee you will be blessed. I guarantee. So make sure you are liking, you're sharing this with someone. He can inspire our young people into moving and doing the things that they want to do with the passion that God has given them. So make sure you're sharing it with your young nephew, nieces, anybody that are just trying to figure out what God wants them to do. So, all right, I look for you in the comments. Hey, everyone. This is Kiana, your host and creator of Q for Christ. And I want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone that has liked, shared, commented, whatever you've done. I'm so excited. I'm so thankful. And I'm so honored. I don't take this for granted, when someone wants to, share something, because it's so hard to get people to participate these days. So, but anyways, and I also don't take it kindly about being a vessel for Christ. When God asked me to do something, I have to do it. And I'm so excited about the grace that he's given me and the path that he have me on. So anyways, as you know, I have been interviewing individuals that are being successful on purpose by consistently working and stand to the calling what God has given them. As we know, in Habakkuk 2:2, it says to write the vision and make it plain. But a lot of people don't understand. Yeah, we can write it down on paper, but we have to internalize it in our heart in order for us to be able to do what God calls us to do. So today, I am so excited. I'm so excited to have him on my page. I am speaking with Mr. Jeremy Coleman. He is a photographer. I mean, one of the best ones that I have met in my life. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit how we met. He was offering free photo shoots for high school during the pandemic. And I was just like, that was so awesome and so cool. So I got a chance to meet him as he did a photo shoot for my daughter. And I'm so excited that he did that, because that was when I met him, I saw the spark in his eye, how he, just was going to stay consistent. And after 3 years, I'm so excited. So I just want to say, how are you doing today, Mr. Jeremy?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really good. I'm glad to be here for sure.
That's good. That is so good. I tell you, God has been so good. And just I've watched you. I'm telling you, all the pictures that you take, everything that you've done, it's just been so amazing to see, because the thing about it, you have the grace of God behind you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm really, really looking afterwards, is people that are being successful on purpose, not fame, not money, not clothes, not cars, not none of that. I mean, even though, of course, we do get that after God blesses us, but that's not the reason why I'm here. Being success on purpose is meaning that God is backing you up and you're doing what God asked you to do. And that in itself is success. You know what I'm saying? So just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started this. Like, when you were a child, did you even imagine taking, this many pictures of people?
I honestly didn't. I mean, as a kid growing up, I never knew what I wanted to do.
Oh,
Even
wow.
after high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was kind of just in a sense, when I went off to college, I followed my dad's footsteps, and that really wasn't something that I wanted to do because, everybody that does something, they got to have a passion for it.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Exactly.
so when I went off to college, IT was really not my passion. So I was like, no, I don't know, I'm not gonna do this. So I came home and yeah, I came home and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I spent my first year after I got back in 2015, once
Okay.
I dropped out of college, honestly, but it's whatever when it comes to that, no problem. But anyway, when I came back home, I spent my first year just kind of just all over the place, trying to find myself, figure out what I wanted to do. And
Mm-hmm.
then, I've always had an interest for taking photos, but I never really, I guess, put any emotion behind it for real.
Right.
So
Right.
once I got home and I figured out, I was like, well, let me just pick this up and see what I can do.
Wow.
Used my dad's camera that he had and went downtown with my friend and my cousin. And I was
Mm-hmm.
just taking a million photos and just saw that I was like, dang, my eye is pretty decent. So I said,
That's
you know
good.
what? Let me just get these photos, do a little bit of editing to them. I'm gonna start a photography page and just see where it goes.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I did that. And when I did, um, I invited all of my Facebook friends to like the page, ended up getting around almost 300 likes that same night. And I
Wow.
said, yeah, exactly. So I was like, you know what? These people are really trying to show love. So let me really just see what I can do again. And,
Right.
I was starting out doing, 35, 40, $50 shoots and stuff and, just trying to find my way. And then after about 3 years, I really started to really invest into my business for real. And then when the
Wow.
pandemic hit, then obviously I offered my free photo shoots. And when I did that, God bless me tenfold behind that because that's something I didn't have to do, but I
Right.
did it. And little did I know that that was going to be the biggest business move I've ever made because it grew my business tremendously after that.
Right. And then, like I said, when I met you, you had that spark in your eyes and I knew that God had did that move. And you were saying about, you dropping out of college. Let me tell you, that wasn't never God.
Yeah.
A lot of people, the thing about it, God has us moving, and sometimes we don't know why we move, why we do certain things. But the thing about it, the Bible is correct. Okay. In
Yeah,
Romans
exactly.
8 and 28, all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord and called upon his purpose. And so we know that you are a part of his purpose because you did not have to do that during the pandemic. And that one little photo shoot that we had with you just kind of changed the whole outlook of things for me because being that I was going through so much and a lot of people didn't really realize what I was going through, but I was going through so much. And for you to offer those free pictures for my daughter, it was amazing at that moment because it helped me as far as not having to go and spend a lot of money on photos, and on top of that it helped her because we were going through the pandemic and we didn't know what was going to happen, and so I still at this moment look at those pictures. I'd be like, oh my God, I thank him so much because that was like you said, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And you were actually sowing, you know, and now you're reaping, and you saw your harvest and you're reaping now what God has he not probably he got so much in store for you from now.
Yes.
So but as a child, what you think your parents would say about you? Do you think they saw this what you are doing now back then?
Definitely not. Because I remember, and this isn't to down my parents at all, because my parents are always very supportive.
Right.
But at the same time, when I told them that I wanted to pick up a camera and I wanted to do photography and do it professionally and make this my full time thing, I was told, no, you need to go to school, get a degree, get something guaranteed, etc. But I took that as, you know what? I see where y'all are coming from, but I'm like, that's not everybody's
Right.
path. And I told them, I was
Right.
like, I understand that that's what y'all want me to do, but that's not what I want to do. I said,
Right.
I'm going to do what I feel like my heart is leading me to. And I'm
Right.
going to prove anybody and everybody wrong that feels like that I can't be successful in this. And
Right.
now look.
Right. And that's the thing, sometimes stepping out on faith and doing the things that God want us to do, it looks crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
and the thing about it, if you go in the Bible, a lot of the things that, those successful ones have done, just look at David, when he just was like, he gonna go and try to kill Goliath, and everybody's like, wait a minute, no,
Right.
and his dad was like, nah, when he was getting anointed, and he was like, nah, I got one that's working out there. That ain't his job, but the thing about it, sometimes we do, and not being disrespectful to anybody else or whatever. Sometimes we have to just kind of step out and do the things that God is telling us to do and what
Mhm.
he has placed on our heart. And so I'm excited that not to say that you didn't go with what your parents said, but I'm excited that you was able to go with what God said to do, because now look at you. You are very successful here locally, and it's just amazing. It's one of the amazing things that I can say. So
Yeah.
but now, what is your biggest failure, and what have you learned from this as you went on this journey?
I will definitely say, probably my biggest failure would be during my first 3 years. Times there were times that I basically put my camera down for months at a time, took hiatuses due to depression and other things I was going through in life.
Right,
And I sit back and I look at myself and I'm like, I really wish that I wouldn't have put my camera down for those months, because there's
right,
no telling, where I would be if I would have been consistent back then.
right,
Because even
right,
to this day, I still go through stuff, but at the end of the
right,
day, I push through it, because at the end of the day, I know that I have moves that I need to make. I
right,
know that there's somewhere that I want to be. And no matter what comes up in front of me, I got to push through that to get through it, and
right.
not let anything stop me from getting to where I want to be.
Right. And that's
So
that determination that I talk about, we have to, I'm telling you, and even with me starting this, like I tell my children, I told them the other day, everything starts with a thought, you
yeah.
know, and when we think about something that we want to do, and we have to continue to push through everything, like you were saying, even depression. Sometimes the enemy wants to tell you that you can't do it. The enemy wants to tell you that because you might not be getting, the likes or the calls or whatever, the enemy want to tell you that no, you ain't gonna make it, or you ain't gonna do this. But that's when we have to know that God is backing it up. And when you realize that God is backing it up, it ain't nothing that can stop you from getting to your destiny, from getting to where God wants you to be. Because at that point, you got God. You see what I'm saying? You got Jesus. And I tell people all the time, you can't allow the enemy, and I say that because that we are our worst enemies. You know what I'm
Definitely.
saying? When it comes to doing things and staying consistent at stuff, we are our worst enemies, because we'll talk ourselves out of $1 million if you let us, because we'll sit up there and tell us we can't do it. But who says you can't do it? Who says that you're gonna fail? Sometimes we have to fall in order to, move forward. My cousin said one day, he was like, in order for you to go forward, sometimes you got to back out the driveway in order to drive forward. And that thing, it's just something so simple, but at the same token, it's like, wow, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't understand, falling don't mean that you fail. So,
Mhm.
but I'm so glad that you stuck with it,
Right.
but what is one of the biggest challenges that you had to face, you know, as a professional photographer, like, you know, equipment problem or whatever?
Oof. Uh, I have maybe two separate instances. One's a lot harder than the other one. The main thing, and I'm pretty sure you've seen my post about it multiple times because I always tell people that, behind me doing this is bigger than just making money, it's bigger than
Right.
photography.
Right.
And, obviously, the biggest reason why I go so hard the way I do was the loss of my best friend.
Oh,
That
wow.
Yeah, that was the hardest thing I've ever had to push through when it comes down to this, because I would say around my 3rd year, I lost literally my brother Kamal. He was my right-hand man basically.
Oh, wow.
And he was going through depression. I had no idea. And me and my whole group of my guys that I'm really, that I consider like my family, we were shocked because we lost him to suicide. And that
Oh,
right there,
wow.
yeah, so that right there was the hardest challenge. And it's still hard to this day, but at the end of the day, he had a vision for all of us. He
Right.
knew that everything that we were doing, that we were first starting out, he knew that we had the potential to be great in it. And all that did was just catapult us even harder to
Right.
basically be like, we can't let Kamal's death be in vain, basically.
Right.
Because we knew
Right.
that, he had a goal for us, we had a goal for ourselves. All we had to do was just go out there and get it. So
Wow.
that was one. And then the other one, well, other instance, I'll say it was more so minor, but I worked around it. I was doing a photo shoot, and my main light that I use for my lighting and whatnot, it failed on me right before I started shooting. Like I did a test shot,
Oh,
then
wow.
I pressed my test button on my trigger, and
Mhm.
it was going off. But then when I took my shot with my camera, the light wasn't flashing. So I'm like, what's going on? I look at the screen and I see the error code that I knew that the motherboard on it was dead. So I had to
Oh,
just
man.
call a friend of mine. Yes, I had to just call a friend of mine and be like, "Hey, my light failed on me. Are you free? Can you bring me a light so I can get through this shoot?" He pulled up. 15 minutes later, I'm back in business. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so
It's
those
good to have people that you can call on at the drop of a dime
oh,
and be like, "Hey, I need you."
oh yeah, definitely. Shout out to my brother Chris, because that man
Right.
there, if I got something going on and he's available to help, he drops everything and he will literally, he's like, but that one person that he'll like come to the rescue type stuff for real. Like I can definitely say, and that goes to, for all of my guys, honestly, not just Chris.
Right. Right.
But that's just that one instance where I was like, okay, I'm down. I need something, to work through, and he had me in that situation. So, it's been a lot of different challenges, but those two are the main ones that I would say were probably the most difficult. And like I said, obviously
Right.
one harder than the other one. So,
Right, right. And I can just imagine losing a close friend like that during, one of the greatest times of your life and you didn't
literally,
know, and I did a video with well, I think I had probably about 6 or 7 men on there talking about the fear of crying or the fear of showing emotions in front of others.
oh,
And it was just so it was such a good show that we have to know that it's okay for us to cry out for help because everybody in the Bible they cried out for help. Most of the men they cried out for help, and
right,
when you can cry out for help, that's letting you know that you are taking off the pressure off yourself. And it's just so sad. I could just imagine how difficult that was for you all. And I know I can still send my condolence because that's something but like you said, you're not going to allow his death to go in vain because you're going to push a little bit harder because you
exactly,
know that he really, really had the best for y'all. He wanted the best for y'all. So that's good. I like that. I like
right.
that.
And
So,
that's exactly why, every single time I do a photo shoot, I could be having the worst day. And when I go do a photo shoot, my spirit just instantly lifts up. And I know that, a lot of times, that's just because, photography is my escape from things. And on top of that, I know that no matter what, no matter where I am, my brother's
mhm,
right there beside me at every single shoot. And that's the way
that's
I
what's
always
up.
try to look at it. So
That is what's up. I like that. I love that. So now do you have anybody that you that mentor you? Like who are you? Is someone that inspired you to do this?
um as far as inspired me to do it, no. I just, like I said, I just picked it up and just did it. But I can definitely say that throughout the years, I have had people that have, helped me out, mentor me and whatnot. It's plenty of people, but I know I have, Oof. This is like I don't want to leave anybody out. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. Well, number one, I got to give a shout out to my main man, Disto Moore, because
Okay.
I actually met him on my very first paid shoot ever, and we've been like this. We've been locked in ever since. He shot my
That's
first
what's
wedding
up.
with me. He taught me the importance of lighting. He taught me the importance of investing into my equipment, getting
Right.
better gear, learning it, whatnot. And then on top of that, Daryl Moy, everybody knows that name around Macon. Daryl Moy,
Wow.
being the greatest, the best wedding photographer we have in the city, and one of the best all around shooters that we have around here. I met him
Wow.
in 2019. Yeah, 2019.
Hmm.
And it's like he mentors me as far as, if I have a question and whatnot, I can hit him up. He like, hey, what can I do to, make this better, or what can I do better, or just ask for, general advice. Wedding photography, he's the reason why I'm good at wedding photography like I am now.
That's good.
Um, my friend Jabril, he's my main person I go to for business advice. Anything I need
Hmm.
to know as far as how to deal with a certain thing business wise, photography, he's my guy.
That's
My
what's up.
other big bro, Leonard, he's another person. He's who I was just on the phone with before this meeting. He gives me
Okay.
some business and marketing advice as well, because he runs his own business, and it's not photography, but outside of that, it's just he gives me, the game that I need. And
That's
then let me see. And then Christopher Graddick, he's another person I can give a shout out to
yeah.
as well, because he hasn't been a mentor, because we're in two completely different lanes of entrepreneurship, but
Hmm.
he helped me realize my worth, because there's been situations where, he has me as his main person for an event that he does the not the wedding decorations,
Right.
the floral decorations for, I mean.
Right.
And if they need a photographer, I'm the first person he recommends. And I quoted one price for the first time event that we did together. And he was like, no, don't charge that, charge this. I said,
Wow.
okay, well, then tell the client this. And then he hit me back maybe 5 minutes later, the client accepted. So,
See.
yeah, so he helped me. He's another person to help me realize my worth and what I
Right.
do, and help me get my pricing to where I needed to be, outside of everybody else telling me that I needed to raise my prices once I got to a certain, point and whatnot. So
Right.
I got a really good group of guys around me that are, they're a good bit older than me, but they look out for me because they know that I have the potential to be great in what I do, just like they are
Right.
in what they do.
Right. And that's so good because, you have to have a good team. Um, you only grow as far as your team goes. And the
Right.
thing about it, a lot of people think that they can do it themselves. You cannot, I don't care what nobody say. You can try it, don't get me wrong, but we need somebody. God had Adam, he created Adam. He said, what, it's not good for man to be alone,
Mhm.
meaning that, that don't mean that just because he created Eve, that don't mean that's in all aspects. It's not good for man to be alone in all aspects. And we
Right.
think that we can just do it ourselves, but it's good that you have some people that's around you that can mentor you, that can, kind of keep you going on this thing.
Definitely.
So, but what's the most important personality trait that you have to possess when you're being a photographer? Because I know that, some people can be just as rude as all get out. But what are the most important personality trait that a person should possess if they want to be a photographer?
Well, I'll say from my personal standpoint, as far as how I conduct myself, obviously professionalism,
Right.
um, great energy. Um, Dang, I just had it in my head. Professionalism, great energy. Um, just overall being able to provide just a great experience, honestly. You have to be a people person, you have to be patient, just
Absolutely.
understanding, honest. Because one thing about it, like a lot of the traits that I, put out as a shooter myself, people aren't used to it. People thank me so much for the experience. They thank me so much for my professionalism and whatnot. And that's the main thing that people always comment on, because people would think that, oh, me being a 25-year-old photographer, they're gonna think, oh no, he's gonna act like any other young person.
Right.
No, that's
Right.
not it with me. I
Mhm.
conduct myself as if I was 40 or 45 or whatever. Like I
You
conduct
do.
myself in a way where I've been doing this, well, like I've been doing this for 15 years plus when I'm only 6 years in the game right now. So
Right.
I tell people all the time, you have to just, just be good to people and it pays
Right.
off because at the end of the day, I'm not in it to get over on anybody.
Right.
Regardless, I know that I'm going to get paid accordingly for what I do. So at that
Mhm.
point, I just have to just be me, be understanding, and like I said, just be a great person and give people a great experience, and that's going to keep them coming back. And even if they don't come back, I know, regardless, I knew that I did what I had to do to provide them with a great experience and
Right.
beautiful memories to look back on for years to come. So
Right.
that's the
Right.
way I look at it.
That is so good. I my motto is to treat people like you would want to be treated. And
Always.
a lot
Yeah.
of people and I hope people will want to be treated well. I mean, to me, I want to be treated good. So I'm
Right.
gonna make sure that I do the same thing for others because you don't
Right.
want that stuff coming back on you for one thing. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And especially
Right.
being a professional, you want to make sure that when someone mentions your name, that oh yeah, I had a great experience with him, or I had a great experience with her. And the thing about it, word of mouth is the best advertisement that we can have, especially here in the middle Georgia area. And so we want to make sure that we're doing, treating people well, because you want to be able to come back, basically.
Always. Yep. Always.
You want to
Always.
be able to come back. So, okay, but I'm gonna ask you this one thing. If you have one little advice that you want to leave with my audience, what advice you would give them when they're getting ready to start being a photographer or just even start anything?
One thing I can always say is and this was a battle I had to fight within myself and learn over the years. But once I really gained traction, it came to the
Hmm.
biggest thing is no matter who you are, no matter what you do, don't expect genuine support overnight. It has
Ooh,
to build up. It has to build up. It has to grow.
ooh, that
Um,
hit me hard right there. I'm telling you. Thank
that's
you.
that's one thing I can say is always, don't expect genuine support overnight. No matter what comes in front of you, keep pushing, keep going, because there have been times that, I could have given up. I could have not even been here. But at the end
Right,
of the day, no matter what, I pushed through all of those moments that I've had to go through because I knew what I wanted for myself and that everybody should look at things that same way for themselves. That
right,
no matter what obstacle you face, it's not about, how can I put it? It's not about how you react to it when it first comes, it's how you come out of it, basically.
exactly,
That's the way I try to tell
exactly.
people and how to move because at the end of the day, business is not going to be easy.
Right,
Business is hard no matter what you do.
right.
And it's just a matter of you got to just put your best foot forward and just always just know that if you keep on pushing, stay consistent, obviously, stay consistent and just, keep on it. It's going to
Right.
come.
It's gonna
It's
come.
gonna come. It's gonna come when it's time. It might not be right then like you want, but regardless, when it's time, it's going to come. And I
Yeah.
look back and like I said, I always use myself as a prime example because my first 3 years, I was doing shoots for nothing as far as the
Right,
price goes and whatnot. And now I'm able to be out here and get, 100 plus shoots a year, charging
right,
300 to 500 a shoot, be able to
right.
travel whatever. Cause like I have 2 out of state jobs that I have coming up this year as well. And it took time to get there. So I
That's
tell
awesome.
people all the time, just stay consistent, keep on pushing, keep doing what you got to do because regardless, it's going to come when it's the right time.
That's
So that's the
that's
piece of advice I could give them.
that's so awesome. I like that. And what you were saying, um, when you have to realize that a lot of this stuff that we do is not necessarily for us. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? People don't understand that the stuff that we do is and what we go through is for us to testify that God is the one that really helped lead us and help bring us through what we were going through because it's for somebody else to look at our lives and say, "Oh my God, if they did it, I know I could be able to do it. And it's to
Exactly.
inspire someone, you know. So
Exactly.
that is so awesome, so cool. I what I'm gonna do now, because I feel like I need to do this, and say this is something that God want me to do right now. I am
Okay.
going to pray for you because I really, really, really feel like God is leading and guiding you. And he is going to take you to higher heights. Okay. A lot of people don't understand that when you give your heart to Christ, it don't mean that you got to be out here, going to church every day, opening doors. You are touching people in a way that nobody else can. You know what I'm saying? You are reaching people, and even by just, your presence when you go and do these is reaching and touching a soul. So
Yeah.
I just want to pray for you right now before I go any further, and then I'm gonna let you go. So
Okay. Most
all
definitely.
right. Okay, dear Heavenly Father, I come to you now. First off, I want to say thank you for this meeting, God. God, you knew this day was coming even back then when we met, God. And we just thank you now for the blessings that you have given us, God, the blessings that you have bestowed on our life, God. God, touch Jeremy now as he continue to do the work of you, God. Touch his heart, God. Allow him to be able to know that you are there, God. God, we need you to show up and show out in his life, God. Allow him to be able, whatever he touch, it turns into gold, God. God, we know that you are always there with him. You are always there with his family. You are always there with his friends, God. Go with his friends, even the one that are still grieving, God. God, we thank you now for touching and healing their body, God. God, giving them peace that passes all understanding. We know that we may not understand what's going on, but we know that you have a plan, God. So we just thank you now for your thank you now for the things that you've done. God, thank you now for your blessings. Thank you now for just being here and providing for us everything that we need, even the knowledge that he needs to go forward, God. Touch his business, allow it to grow, God. And we just thank you now for the love and the grace that you've given us, God. It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Okay. All right. I am so excited. I want you to just just be you. Okay. I
Always.
just be you. Don't ever don't and even and you and I wanted to say this earlier, but you was telling me you were saying something about when you put the camera down for a while and you felt like you would be further. God knew that that day was gonna come. Okay. You needed that rest. You needed that time. So don't never feel like when God said because it's been time where I just had to go with the grace and God say just relax, just
Mhm.
so you needed that time. So the thing about it, go whenever God tell you to do something, even if you might not even understand, you might not even know that it's coming from God. Whatever you do, just know that God is there with you. He is there with you. So
Oh.
all right, I ain't gonna because I'm sitting up here getting chills and I'm about to go into worship. But I want you to just let everyone know how they can reach you, and where they need to go if they want to be able to book you for a photo shoot.
Okay. So the easiest and quickest ways to reach me would be through my Facebook at Jeremy Coleman Photography, LLC. My Instagram is jcp.media. And if you even go to my personal Facebook at Jeremy Coleman, if you go to my about info, you will see my link tree in there. And that will give you the links to my business Facebook, my business Instagram, my website, my shout out Atlanta interview, my Voyage ATL interview, everything that you want to see and know about me and how to reach me, everything is all there.
Okay. All right, you guys. I look, go and support him, please, today because he is such, like I said, when I met him, I saw the spark in his eyes, and I love him. I mean, I got a son that's about well, he's the same age as you actually. He'll be
Okay.
26 April 13th. And so when
Okay.
the to know that it's some young people out here that are staying successful and allowing God to lead them, it's an example that anybody can do it. If you stay with God and stay consistent, I can't say this enough. You allow God to lead you. It ain't nothing that you cannot do. So, all right. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you are going, you are liking, you are sharing, you are commenting so I can know that you have been here. I want to make sure that I can say thank you to you all that has stopped by. All right. And so make sure that you are staying Q for Christ. All right. Bye, you all.